politicians not agreeing among themselves and then causing friction in the country. But the unfortunate thing is that Nigerian politicians have lost the capacity either to learn from history or to, improve themselves. Second, what happened at the PDP secretariat in Wuse yesterday was foreseeable, and I'll be surprised if anybody is surprised about what happened. One faction fighting against another. But the big issue is about national stability. It's about history repeating itself. And we hope that the statement that history first repeats itself as a farce and then it repeats itself subsequently as a tragedy does not happen in this particular case. But we can also say that, one, we do not need a one-party state. I continue to do so, that you need the opposition, and the opposition must be allowed to thrive. But this does not mean that, any major actor in that axis should now call for the intervention of Donald Trump or the intervention of the international community. This remains a sovereign country, and we continue to call on the part of the political actors for patriotism. Saying that people should come and save democracy in Nigeria. No, it is Nigerian politicians who can save democracy in Nigeria. It is not Donald Trump. It is not anybody in the international community. But I guess that, Kameno Tanumu Turaki SAN, KT SAN, spoke out of exuberance. He is from Kebbi State, even in his own native Kebbi State. I do not think that, anybody in that state, whether it's Adamu Aliero or other major stakeholders in that state, will call for Trump to come and save democracy in Nigeria. It is important for politicians in Nigeria to play politics according to the rules, to respect the rules, and what we find in the People's Democratic Party is that people are not respecting the rules. The party has abandoned its own constitution. Friendship among the parties involved would seem to have broken down. Finally, the Archbishop Daniel Oko talking about genocide in Nigeria. Well, considering his position as president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, he has a responsibility to defend the faithful. The Pope has also intervened in the matter. Other parties have said Christians are being attacked in Nigeria. But the residual point is the position of the Nigerian government is that it is not just Christians that are being attacked. Muslims are being attacked also. Many of the commentators may not admit the complexity of the Nigerian situation, but the issue is that the Nigerian government has a responsibility to protect everyone, whether Christian, Muslim, or animists, and that we should not allow religion to divide the country, to make this country more problematic than it already is. That, in my view, is the point.
Well, what happened at the PDP secretariat yesterday? Some people have called it, we had it as a story, as Wahala in Wadata, PDP showdown, a number of things. But I think that a lot of people would agree that it was an unfortunate and unnecessary show of shame. And I believe that it is particularly disgraceful because these are our political leaders. The PDP is the main opposition party, and you can see a number of things as a fallout. We've talked a lot about the internal wranglings and the internal upset of the party in itself, PDP, the fate of the PDP, how strong an opposition it might be, the people working against the PDP. But I think what we see on the screen, if you see the fighting that's happened there, is something that we shouldn't be seeing at a time like this. Number one, it was very poor timing because, as Dr. Abati mentioned, the chairman, the chairman from the convention over the weekend of the PDP is from Kebbi State, where we have a serious matter of concern that 25 of our young girls, not animals, not plants, not inanimate objects, human beings, young girls of the future were kidnapped. And yet, because of the matter of politics, even as an opposition, I'm not sure they've been able to have enough time to present a response or a comment with regards to what's happening in Kebbi State. And that's quite sad. And it definitely shows where the priority of the political elite is, whereby it's about power grabbing, who's next, and who can dominate in terms of a powerful shame. Now, another part that really was concerning was the use of state resources for what was a political matter within a political party. We talk about how, first of all, we need more personnel in our security agents, especially with the police. And we see the policemen, they're trying to settle and bring people and peace and order, which is part of their responsibility. But if this didn't happen, then we wouldn't have a waste of resources, human and financial. And spot on fire, I was just thinking of how much money it costs the taxpayers. I think until we as taxpayers recognize the fact that this is our money on display being wasted, because if you were your company, you ask for how money was being spent, where resources was wasted on such an activity as this, because grown men in a political party could not come to the table and act like adults. Beyond that as well, I believe when you come to the code of conduct of policemen, I was like, okay, so the police can actually use just tear gas to disperse a situation that threatens to break down law and order. Whereby we have peaceful protesters who go out and we hear of people being, their live rounds of bullets being shot, people being tear gassed. But when it comes to the politicians, the police knows how to restrain itself in the face of fracas like this and not take on, very bullish action. I think that's something to take note of, so that the next time Nigerians exercise their right to peaceful protest, which is more on the side of the law than this show whereby people could have actually lost lives, they would conduct themselves more professionally, because it shows that it is possible. Beyond that, when we talk about the loss of lives, last time when I spoke about the interface between the Minister of the FCT and the military personnel at the land, I said that it could easily have descended into a free flow whereby the two sides could have opened fire and would have had an unnecessary loss of lives. The same thing could have happened yesterday. And I don't know if we don't think about the ramifications of our decisions or the consequences of actions that we take. And so if anyone had lost their lives yesterday, the conversation would be that because there were internal wranglings in the political party, lives were wasted in such a manner.